call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge led by Councilmember Natalie Lopez.
All right. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dan Dahl.
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez.
Present.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter. Councilmember Sherry Guidry.
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Sawyer.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first item number 1 is public comment. You fill out a comment card. There's no back and forth. You have 3 minutes. I'll also remind you to quiet down your cell phones. And we have 1 comment card. Michael Bell, agenda item 7B.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, 7B, I think, is containing the police department. And I'm just here again to remember, to remind you guys, if you do make a decision, please make a wise decision and think about the city as a whole and think about the needs of the people and the elderly and the young people in the community and the city as a whole, not just one district or one area, please. There have been a recent increase in crimes and shooting where people are afraid to come out, elderly people afraid to come outside. I'm sometimes afraid to walk my grandchildren, and you have 95% of the people that live in those areas are good, hard-working, retired people, and I think they deserve better. They deserve better policing, and I've always said I had the opportunity to work with the San Francisco Police Department in neighborhoods that crime had took over, but we work it by getting together with the businesses, finding out the needs of the young people, those that commit minor crimes, instead of incarcerating them for life where they learn worse things from worse criminals. We gave them an opportunity to work for the city, work for the parish at minimum wage and certain wages. That way, that taught them to become men and young women. So it's just a little common sense. And at the same time, the police department not only just rode around certain times, they got to know the people in the community. They got to know the old lady that sits on the porch. They got to know the working man. They got to know the young people. Because I've been hearing a lot of the young people I've been talking to, they're afraid of the police department. I tell them they have no reason. So it's our responsibility to get them to know that the police department is our friend. And I say it all the time, working together, it's a win-win situation. It's better for the city, and I've said this many times, I've been saying it for years. We need a central located police department, a precinct in one of the most heaviest populated area in the West End area, and that's area where officers are there, they're being seen. It's just a little common sense that'll make things work. You know, it's just like a doctor. If you have a cancer, they're going to give you something for it. And then if that problem is in your foot, that's where they're going to treat it more. I mean, it's common sense. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that. So that's the things that we need in this city. And we need to work together with our city and stop separating. We are one, you know, just like we said, the world should know this. We're in this gumbo together. And we are all one. And if we don't make it work, it's not going to work. And definitely, a tax is definitely needed, people. We need it because the city is in a financial bind for things that have to change to make things better. I don't mind spending a penny or more if I know it's going to bring positive things in my community. It's going to make the elderly people feel comfortable. It's going to make the young people feel comfortable. And I try to come in here with positive things. because I love the city I live in. And I don't want my kids or grandchildren to leave, because it's not about me anymore, neither my children, but it's about my grandchildren. So make a wise decision, please.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, acceptance of the minutes.
Acceptance of the minutes of the April 18, 2017 meeting as published on April 27, 2017.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilmember Lewis. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Councilmember Broussard. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, motion carries. Agenda item number 3, persons to address the council.
Nicole Abear with Republic Services to discuss issues with garbage and waste disposal.
Good evening. Thank y'all for the invitation to come and speak to you. I first want to tell y'all that we're really, really proud. Is that better? We're proud to be a part of this community, and we really appreciate the business that we have here. The last time that I came here, I met with the mayor and Mr. Dan Doyle to talk about recycling. And so I thought that's really what y'all might want to hear about today. In New Iberia, it's really hard for us to pinpoint an exact number, but after digging through a lot of statistics, we think that there's about a 40 to 45% participation citywide. And that's actually a pretty good number compared to a lot of our other contracts. Within that 40 to 45%, we have a 10% or better contamination rate. That is outstanding compared to our other municipal contracts. So when y'all's recycling materials are ending up in or at the MRF, they're very, very clean. I've seen it come, and it really is good. So I've also learned through discussions that there's a myth, I think, going around in the city that we don't recycle the materials that we collect. That is absolutely not true. I would like to offer to all of you right now, if anybody would like to actually see the materials picked up here, brought to the transfer station here in New Iberia, and then delivered to the MRF, and then watch how that process, goes through. I would be very, very happy to bring all of you to see that. It really is a very interesting, I never would have thought that. It's a very interesting thing to see. So let's see. Once it's at the MRF, which is the manufacturing recycling recovery facility, we sell all of the items to a third party. The things that we recycle and the things that are acceptable are paper, that's phone books, trash, junk mail, any type of paper. Metal, it has to be a beverage can, like a soda can or a food can, and even scrap metal. Cardboard, that's like frozen pizza boxes, things like that. And then all plastics that are labeled a number 1 or a number 2. And those are the things that we accept. We currently do not accept glass, and I think that's a big issue for a lot of people. But there's no one who wants to purchase the glass because it's cheaper to purchase sand and start from scratch. So anyway, that's all the information I have for y'all. If y'all have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything that you might have.
Thank you for meeting with us. I asked Freddie because they had people mention about do they recycle, how much they recycle. And a couple of things maybe we can get out there to let people know how they can get a recycling bin. People from the day, I don't know what year we started recycling, but it's been quite a few years ago. And it was a program where we went around and everyone got one.
Right.
Since then, if people moved their house or sold their house or destroyed their house, or a lot of people don't have them. And I think if there's some way we can educate the people or give them a number or outlet where they can call and let them pick up a bin, because I think if the 40-45% is now that high, I would like to spend. If we can get everybody to get involved, because it is, the bins we have are big bins where it's not as troubling as we used to have these little bitty bins.
Right.
You couldn't put anything in it.
Right.
But now so much people bring stuff online, they get stuff shipped to their house, a lot of cardboard, and those bins are easy to use. So I wish there's some way we can educate the people that how they can get one of these bins?
All they need to do is call City Hall.
Call City Hall, that's
Okay.
exactly right.
That's all they have to do is call City Hall, and you've got great staff here, and they're sending us emails. Hillary and Miss Upton send us emails throughout the day.
Yeah.
And so we put that in our system, and we should have them delivered. I mean, we really should have them within 72 hours of new cards delivered.
And normally, I know different sides of the body, they do different days, but normally the recycling bin gets picked up prior and then the garbage is after, is that correct?
That is correct.
That's how it
So,
should be.
right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have one sweep that's just for garbage, and the same, and I think that does confuse some people.
Yeah.
The same truck will come through the city and pick up, but they're only picking up recycling, either that first or second sweep, depending on how they're running that day.
But it's the same day.
It is, it's the same day,
So,
correct.
just information like that is really important, because
Mm-hmm.
most people, they don't know.
Right, right.
And they don't recycle because they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we're doing that well now, and we really never had a program since we implemented, that I
Mm-hmm.
can remember of, or even many people come and talk to us about what's happening. And I appreciate,
Right.
because, I know on a raw garbage,
Mm-hmm.
not the recycling, many times, if you have an issue with not being picked up on one side of the street, y'all get on it right away.
Right,
They do a
right.
great job.
We try.
I want to applaud y'all because, normally it's pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And, and everything, I tell people, it's mechanical trucks, it's people that sometimes come in sick. It's just things that happen. They don't do it
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
intentionally,
Right.
but I want to thank you for that because this is a big deal, because that's one thing that people pay for
Mm-hmm.
and they expect, and everyone uses garbage.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate the effort that you took to come here today and explain that to us, because I told Mr. DeCourt how some people were questioning that, and
Yeah.
I'm glad you came to clear
And I
that up.
did bring some material that I'll leave. I have
Okay.
a stack of some information that's on order, so once it comes in, I'll deliver the good stuff, but some of the stuff I'll leave with y'all has proof written on it, and I just brought it just so you could have that information.
No glass. I'm glad you said that because my wife didn't believe me.
Just no glass.
Cleaning those bottles.
No,
The city website says we take glass.
It does.
Oh, it does? Okay. we're gonna-
I put glass. I'm
we're gonna
guilty
have
of
to
putting
fix
glass.
that.
Yeah.
yeah, there's no, I mean, really the big issues with glass are whenever they recycle the glass, you've got all different colored
Yeah.
glasses. When it mixes, it makes a really ugly color, and nobody wants to buy it. And it is cheaper to start with sand,
Well, I
so
appreciate that. It's on the record now.
Yeah.
Thank
it's
you.
on the record.
That's it. Any other comments, questions? Yes.
I agree with Mr. Doyle. You do a great job, and I appreciate you coming here tonight
Thank you, Dustin.
and
I appreciate
speaking to
that.
us about it. One thing I have made, like my constituents call me,
Mm-hmm.
and I called Republic Direct. Is that something that they can do as well if they wanted to, and give an address, and they'll have one delivered to their
There-
address
yes.
within that 72 hours?
There is a local number that they can call, but I'm just gonna tell you, the local number goes to
It
a
goes
national
to-
call
right,
center.
I'm
So
like an
I,
answering service,
and
or-
I know that folks in City Hall might not like this, but I just feel like the process works better when they call City Hall, because when it's coming from City Hall, we jump.
I think it does too, because we get to track it. And I
Correct.
got a great staff, they do a great job.
They do.
And,
No, it's-
that way it's tracked, and I know
Yeah.
you've called it in, and it's something we can check on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, I mean, any of y'all can call me, text me directly,
Okay.
as
And
well.
one more thing, if you don't mind, Fred.
Sure.
It's a no charge for that garbage
Correct.
can. But if they want another garbage can for their day-to-day garbage, they have to buy one for the second
Correct,
one.
exactly.
Because some people don't understand that. They thought they had to pay for one. I said, no, your first one's free.
That's right. First one's free, second one you do have to pay for.
Okay, thank you.
Unless it breaks.
Unless it breaks,
They
we will
don't.
come and fix it.
No, I'm just joking.
Y'all fix it at no charge?
We do. Yeah, no charge to fix it.
I want to accommodate Dan Dahl. Way back 10 years ago, you were talking about Civil Point, you had those big
Yeah.
wheels. You were the one that really put us on to the big carts.
Yeah.
And man, it was a nightmare with those regular little cans there.
Mhm.
Well, it was a nightmare. We
Right.
had 10, 15 calls a month. We'd go out there with the garbage man,
Mm-hmm.
pick up, and it was trouble. You had more people that be involved picking up those cans.
Mm-hmm.
You have one man in the truck.
They do a great job.
Well, thank you.
Further comments? Great, thank you for
Okay,
coming.
I'm
We
gonna
really
I'll leave
appreciate
this
it.
over here for you.
Good, thank you. Agenda item 3B, Madam Clerk.
David Posner with LWCC Underwriting to present the city's dividend check, along with Mr. Armin Schwing with Schwing Insurance.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me back. It's good to be here again this year. It's been a lot of years that I've been coming here, and I appreciate y'all taking time to have me and allow me to be a part of this process. I have with me this evening David Posner from LWCC. He is your underwriter, so he's the guy that's responsible for putting the numbers together on your account every year as far as what it's going to cost. So if you don't like that, throw tomatoes at him, not me. But I think what he's got for you tonight is something that'll make everybody smile.
No
I'm not
tomatoes tonight.
I'm not gonna steal his thunder. I just want to comment that it's a pleasure working with Sandra and everyone in the administration here, and especially since January, there's been a real positive vibe. So it's been great, and I'm gonna let David tell you what he's got for you. I've got a total, if he's not prepared to give you that, for what has been delivered to you guys for the last 14 years.
You know I got that.
I know you got that.
Good afternoon. My name is David Posner. I'm with the Louisiana Workers' Compensation Corporation. I'm in the underwriting department, and what we're doing right now is we're delivering our 2016 dividend checks to our clients. What we're doing is we're hand delivering any check over $80,000. That gives you an idea, or at least where your starting point is. Recently, about a week ago, we mailed out close to 20,000 dividend checks to our policyholders. This year's dividend for 2016 year is going to total $90.6 million. That's year 14 of our dividend. In 14 years, we've given back $576 million to our policyholders. City of New Iberia has participated in all 14 years. So we appreciate your loyalty as a client. We appreciate Armin's loyalty as an agent. Without that, the dividend process wouldn't be possible. So today, I have a dividend check to give you in an amount of $254,289. So would you like it, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, it would. That certainly would help. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. It was close, I tried.
All right, give it to my clerk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, any comments? Yes.
I just want to say, since he didn't tell you, over those 14 years,
I was wondering.
LWCC has delivered to this council and to the administration here a total of $1.643 million, okay, back to the city in dividends, which is a testament to the strength of their company as well as to the performance of the city of New Iberia and the way that this account has performed for them. So thank you all for that very much.
City, I can't thank y'all enough. It's a pleasure to do business with y'all. This is also a testament to my department heads and the people on our staff that work extra hard to make sure we have a safe environment. So I thank y'all, and it's a pleasure, and hope to see you next year. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Fred,
Yes.
to echo what you said, being in business for myself, this affects the way the workers do and the department heads.
Yep.
And I want to applaud the efforts of the workers, because when they become more efficient and more less accidents, it benefits everybody.
Right.
The more money the city can save, the more money we can maybe give out to them in the long term through salaries and benefits. So thank y'all for all the work y'all do.
Yes,
I just want to
Councilman Lopez.
thank the mayor for bringing this insurance back local to the Schwing agency. I'm gonna brag that Armin Schwing lives in my district and his entire family, and they're just wonderful people for not only to be doing business with as a city. They're wonderful people as a family. They give back to the community, they give back to the neighborhood, and I'm just proud that we are going to continue and go back to the relationship that we had with them. Thank you for doing that, because you didn't have to go through us for that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Great. Okay, we're moving on to agenda item 4, proclamation.
Proclamation for Smile Community Action Agency being accepted by Michael Sorrell and Terry Thompson.
Great, thank y'all for coming. I'll go ahead and read the proclamation, then after that, if you have some remarks. Whereas community action emerged from the heart of President Lyndon B. Johnson's 1964 proclamation of America's war on poverty, where battles must be won in the field, in every private home, in every public office, from the courthouse to the White House. Whereas community action has put a human face on poverty for 54 years by advocating for limited income citizens without a voice so that they may enter the middle class and reach for the American dream, replacing their despair with opportunity. Whereas community action builds and promotes economic stability as an essential aspect of enabling and enhancing stronger communities, which in turn promotes self-sufficiency, ensuring that all Americans are able to live in dignity. And whereas community action has enhanced the lives of millions of people across America by providing essential life-changing services and opportunities such as affordable housing, economic development, health care, energy assistance, natural disaster relief, and recovery. Whereas community action already serves 99% of America's counties in rural, suburbia, and urban communities, and because it is right, because it is wise, and because in our hearts and minds we believe it is possible, we will conquer poverty in our lifetime. Whereas community action will continue to implement innovative and cost-effective programs to improve the lives and living conditions of the impoverished, continue to provide support and opportunities for all citizens in need of assistance, and continue to be a major voice of reason in establishing welfare system reforms. Whereas SMILE Community Action Agency was incorporated in 1968 to fight poverty and provide economic security in St. Martin, Iberia, and Lafayette parishes. Now, therefore, I, Freddie DeCourt, Mayor of the City of New Iberia, do proclaim the month of May 2017 as Community Action Month. In recognition of SMILE Community Action Agency, which has been committed to community action in St. Martin, Iberia, and Lafayette parishes since its inception nearly 50 years ago, and will celebrate the month with a host of activities under the theme Smile One Agency, One Mission, providing solutions on poverty, in recognition of the hard work and dedication of all community action agencies. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Sorrell. I'm the parish manager for Community Action here in New Iberia. I have my assistant, Ms. Terry Thompson.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Is here. And we also have our Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Irma Bushwalk from the Lafayette office. We're not going to take up too much of your time because I think our proclamation told you all quite a bit. Okay. Yes. So what I would like to do at this time, I would like to thank the mayor and the council for giving us all the support that you've given us in the past and any support that you plan to give us in the future. We want to thank you all in advance. And also we want to reassure you all, if you all have any of the constituents here in Iberia Parish who you think that may need any of our service, please don't hesitate. Have them contact the office. At this time, Ms. Thompson going to fill you all in on maybe a couple of activities that are going to be taking place here in Iberia Parish. And I'm going to pass on. Okay?
Hello and greetings from Smile Agency. Mr. Sorrell is passing out the community action activity calendar. Save the date. Smile is celebrating National Community Action Month. One agency, one mission, providing solutions on poverty. As you can see, the major events taken in St. Martin, New Iberia, and Lafayette parishes. On Friday, May 5th, we have a poverty update breakfast presentation by Jason Hoffman, the Alice Report, and Mr. Robert Blue. And that's going to take place from 9:30 to 11 in Lafayette at the Public Library at the main branch on Congress Street. Wednesday, May 10th, Housing Assistant and Financial Literacy Symposium is going to take place in St. Martin Parish from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be at the St. Martin Parish Government Office. Thursday, May 18th, as you can see here in Iberia Parish, we're going to be addressing the crime issues that's been happening in this area especially, and the surrounding parishes. We're going to have a crime symposium, impact, empowerment, and solutions, fighting the war on crime. We're going to have the area law enforcement officials, elected officials, and community leaders. We ask them to be present as well. It's going to take place at 6 to 8 p.m. at the Slyman Theater. Please join us. And please spread the word because we really need to address this at this time. On Wednesday, May 24th, The Generational Poverty Symposium is going to be from 6 to 8 at the Clifton Chenier. And that's going to be on Willow Street in Lafayette. We're going to have our Bijou events. It's going to take place in the following parishes: St. Martin, Iberia, and Lafayette. We had our shelter day, Adopt a Room. Well, a lot of the clients and constituents come by and donate different items to our shelter. But that is ongoing, so if you have anything to donate or if you know anyone, please have them to donate to the different centers. We're going to have May 6th, Community Service Day is going to be held in Lafayette at our Holy Rosary Head Start from 9 to 12. That Tuesday, May 9th, is going to be the neighborhood cleanup in St. Martinville from 9 to 12. That Wednesday, here in Iberia Parish again, we're going to be feeding the homeless. We're going to be at the St. Francis Diner, where we're going to have our staff and any of the volunteers that would like to come in and assist us. We're going to be at the St. Francis Diner. We're going to be feeding the homeless. We're also going to have a information table set up so that way we can kind of go over all our services. And you all are welcome to come and join us at that time. And last but not least, we're going to have a big celebration. Well, the agency comes together as a whole. We're going to go out with a shebang, and it's going to be from 11 to close. It's going to be on the 31st, the last day of the month. And it's going to be at Agave Mexican Grill and Cantina, and that's going to be in Lafayette on Vermilion. Those are all the activities that's scheduled in our celebration of National Community Action Month. We do thank you. We appreciate all that you all do. And if we can help you in the future, or if you know anyone that need our assistance, please feel free to have them to call or come by. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, agenda item 5, introduction of ordinances.
Introduction of ordinances to be set for public hearing on May 16, 2017. A, an introduction of budget amendment ordinance number 2016 to 2017-05, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2016 to 2017 to carry over funding from fiscal year 2016 for the Jefferson Terrace Drainage Project Phase 1.
This is where we're moving that money. We had it from last year. It was a $3 million drainage project. If you remember, we cut it down. It will now become a $1.7 million drainage. This money's coming out of our mosquito control money. This is the project we talked about a while back to get under the railroad track on Jefferson Terrace, which will really, it'll be in phases, but it'll greatly help our flooding situation in that area. And if you notice, we're kind of redoing the way we do our budget amendment ordinances. We're following some rules and regulations a little differently now. So this is the first one. Jeff, do we vote on this when it's an introduction?
I don't think you have to, no.
Okay. Okay. So it's introduced here. When it comes to the next meeting, then we'll take action.
Right.
Okay, great. So are there any questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
On that 1.7 million that we got it down to, did we put money aside from the mosquito control like last year towards this, or the year before? Are we taking it all out? at
Oh, no,
one time?
we have $3 million in that account from, previous years. We'll get a new allocation of money coming pretty soon. It's
Yeah.
normally right around the beginning of the summer. But this is money that's been set aside. We approached the project, thought it was a $1.5 million project when I got here, realized it was a $3 million project, and said, whoa, let's not spend all our money in one shot in our first month in office of the drainage money. So we cut the project back. But we do have additional funds. We'll wait and see how much we get this year, and then we'll make a decision if we want to do phase 2 now. We might want to just let phase 1 ride because we'll have accomplished the railroad track and take care of some other areas, see how that addresses our issues and come back later. That'll be something that will, of course, the council will decide, together.
I remember the engineer came here when he was telling us the price and how he was gonna reduce it. You remember?
Yes.
And since then, did he give you a new drawing of what we're gonna do with these
Yes, he's in the process of doing that now
we'll get a
and
copy of
getting
that?
it approved. You
Okay.
will certainly have a copy of that.
Thank you.
Great. Any further questions? Yes, Councilman Swift.
So the price before was thought was 1.5.
When he did the preliminaries last year, I don't know when, he could have been working on it prior to that. I know prior to us getting, you know,
Right.
in the last administration, they had thought it was around a $1.5 million project.
Oh, that was just a thought. It
That
wasn't-
was
it
just a
wasn't
budget, that
on
was just a
paper
schematic
or-
budget. I mean, I think he was early.
So going underneath the tracks is what made that price jump up
Yes,
to
that's
3
very
million?
expensive, and we had to get some special permits, and it is gonna be expensive to do that. It is the main part of the project we need, because that's the only way to go to get to the bayou, to get to some drainage in that direction.
So did he pretty much, I don't know if he guaranteed, but it is gonna help. Just doing that one phase will help Jefferson
Yes,
Parish.
and I asked that question that, you know, do we have to do the whole 3 million before we see some results?
Right.
And he said no, that in this first
Will.
phase, we would see some improvement.
Okay.
He still recommends that we do the rest of the project, but that he was fine with phasing it. I asked him if we lost any money in phasing it, you know, if it was as simple as some junction boxes, manholes, and then we just tie in the future, and he said it was. We really weren't losing anything by doing it in phases, as long as we tackled the railroad track, you know, in one shot. Further questions, comments? Great. Agenda item 5B. Clerk.
An introduction of budget amendment ordinance number 2016-2017-06, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2016 to 2017, to carry over funding from fiscal year 2016 for the Church Alley and Bicycle Trail project.
This project, as you know, is one we've been working on for a while. We got a grant from the state. We bid the project. The prices came in too high. We sat down with the contractor, negotiated the project down. So now we're within the match that we need to be. This will be coming to ask the council for a $26,000 match. So Jane can probably I'll give you the close figures. The project was bid. We had a budget of around $130,000, $140,000. The bids came in at $190,000. Many things had been added to the project. We reduced some of those, negotiated with the contractor, got the price down to around $156, I believe. Got with the state, realized that we had a lot of in-kind matches. We knew we had to come up with some money matches. The state actually stepped up, gave us more money than was originally anticipated. So our match got to stay somewhere around the same dollar amount. So basically, for the $26,000 match, we're getting, and these are round figures, we're getting $130,000 from the state for the project. So, you know, if you look at the ratio of what we put up and what we're getting, it's really good. It's excellent, actually. So this is to amend it. This is the project that was talked about last year, and you know, it's finally coming to fruition. This is one that Paul Allen is doing for us. Myself and Jane and Paul have been working on this for a long time. So at the next meeting, we'll be coming, and that will be to do a budget amendment for $26,000 and some change. I mean, I'm just rounding it off. But is there any questions? Yeah, we have a picture of the project as well. Forgot about that. Thank you, Ned. We have a picture of the project, as you can see. And it's really going to take an area that has been a bit of an eyesore and do something really neat with it. Historically, we have Church Alley because Frederick DePuria, who incorporated our town, lived in Mount Carmel, which became Mount Carmel. That was his house, and he wanted to see the church from his house. So when he laid our town out, he laid that gap out as Church Alley so that the church could be seen. But I think it's a good project. It's something well worthwhile. It'll be another of many little pocket parks that we have coming. The George Rodriguez sculpture is going to be another little pocket park. We are kind of now treating Bullion Plaza as a pocket park. We have another item we'll talk to you about, that we have a kayak dock coming. That'll be another little park. So, I mean, I really think for our downtown, we're really working with the state, partnering with some creative people, and getting, you know, some really quality improvements in our downtown. Any other questions? Great, thank y'all. Madam Clerk, item 5C.
An introduction of an ordinance or altering the boundaries of New Iberia Highway 14 Economic Development District Number 1 to absorb the territory included within New Iberia Highway 14 Economic Development District Number 2, dissolving New Iberia Highway 14 Economic Development District Number 2, and providing for other matters in connection with the foregoing.
We have Jason Akers here, who's our bonding attorney and our TIF expert, and I'm not explaining anything. We're gonna call on him. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Jason Akers with Foley and Udell. If those of you actually, maybe Dan, you might have been on in 2009. No,
4 years I was not here.
all
Mayor Pro
right.
Tem.
You were mayor pro tem. So, in November of 2009, the council. I'm sorry. In November of 2009, the city created 3 different economic development districts. Actually, according to state law, they were the Highway 182 Economic Development District, and then 2 along Highway 14. They were designated New Iberia Highway 14 Economic Development District number 1 and New Iberia Highway 14 Economic Development District number 2. And they were designed so that District 1 contained the then operating businesses, and District 2 was only undeveloped land. However, nothing was ever done with the districts. They were just created, and they've just sat dormant for the last 8 years. And talking with the mayor and the administration, there's a desire to look forward to making something happen with those districts. Unfortunately, under state law, the money raised in one district is really only supposed to be used within that district. So the fact that you have undeveloped land that takes up an entire district really kind of defeats the purpose at this point. So our suggestion was to just forget the fact that there were 2 districts, combine them into one. That ordinance accomplishes that purpose, and then at some point in the future, should you desire to put those districts to work for you, then you'd be able to use the money throughout that particular area rather than just on one part or versus the other. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have, but as this is an introduction, you'll see it again following public hearing in 2 weeks as well. Yes, sir.
Just a little quick question. This is first time, maybe some of the council members seen this layout. And I saw, it makes much more sense doing it as one versus 2 separate ones. But they have 2 little carve-outs in there.
They do.
What is that?
Under the Economic Development District Act, you're entitled to levy a tax within a particular district without an election, so long as there are no registered voters living within the district. I cannot certify as to what was happening in 2009. We actually did not handle the creation of the districts initially. I'm willing to bet that those were probably residences or somewhere where registered voters were living at the time, and therefore they were carved out.
That's what they were.
Okay, so then that's the reason they were carved out. They're not part of the district. As we go forward, we're going to have to look at what is whether there are any registered voters in the district. Again, that's at the determination of the council. Should you decide to actually put those to use for you. So,
And I was wondering, since 2009, things could have changed.
they very easily could have.
If we would be addressing that or not.
We will definitely, because the registered voters are judged at the time that you go to levy a tax, that you have a public hearing and levy a tax. We will be conversing with the registrar of voters to ensure that there are none within the district as consolidated as well. And if there are, we'll address it at that point.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Further questions? Great. Can't thank you enough for coming.
Thank you. And Mr. Mayor, if I may, I want to assume that that's actually introduced before I say anything else. So.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Thank you. There's a notice of public hearing on the agenda for item 8B, and forgive me if I'm out of line for bringing that up now.
I was going to ask if you want to hit that one now too. While you're
Well, that actually is, and I'll ask for the clerk's forgiveness, because I think that we were hitting her with a lot of paper in a short amount of time, and that actually was supposed to be introduced as an ordinance as well. And if it's okay with the city attorney, I would ask that if the council consider expanding the agenda to introduce that item as an ordinance for public hearing on May 16. It appears on the agenda just under the public notices or public announcements, or a notice of public meetings. It just unfortunately doesn't appear as an introduction of ordinance, and I'll be glad to read in the title so that it gets into the minutes. We have provided the ordinance. It is to be published in accordance with the charter. I just want to be clear that we're going to get it introduced, and I'd ask the city attorney if there's any objection there.
Good. Then do I hear a motion that we expand the agenda to do this introduction ordinance? So moved by Councilmember Swear and seconded by Councilmember Guidry. Since we're doing this, vote your machines. Great. Thank y'all. Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. And again, I apologize for the confusion there. There was I'd hate to count the number of emails that Maxine and I shared with each other last week, but
And while you're up there, you can tell us about the success you had.
I'll be
because
glad.
it was well worth it.
About the what?
Oh, the success we had.
Success. Glad to.
Yeah.
I'll just note that, if I may, I'll read the title of the ordinance for introduction. It's Ordinance of the City of New Iberia, State of Louisiana, recognizing the final form and introduction of the bond purchase agreement in connection with the issuance and sale of its revenue refunding bonds, Series 2017, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Pursuant to the authority that this council granted us, your financing team, which included ourselves as bond counsel, your financial advisor, government consultants, and also your underwriter, Raymond James and Associates, in February, we actually went out, we saw a good market turn, which we were holding our breath and keeping our fingers crossed for, towards the end of March, early part of April. And we actually were able to go back out to the market with the second part of a two-part refunding. And those that were on the council last year remember that we actually sold refunding bonds in the early part of 2016 and had a total savings of about $350,000. This is the second part of that two-part refunding. And we were able to go to the market and sell, and we were over the term of the bonds, which goes to 2035, we were actually able to save another $160,000. We took the interest rate on the outstanding bonds from between a 4 and 5 for the maturities being refunded down to yields of between 1 and 2.95%. The savings are a result of the lower interest rates. They are not a result of extending the final maturity of the bonds. And those savings, and when I talk about $160,000 in savings, that's net of all costs of issuance. So your costs are paid out of the bond proceeds. There are not additional costs associated with it. The $160,000 is bottom line, dollar for dollar savings for the city going forward. When we do an advance refunding like this, which means that we're actually going to deliver the bonds a little bit in advance of when we can pay off the old bonds, we have to, by state bond commission requirements, get a 3% net present value savings. And your net present value savings is actually 4.6% on this transaction. So we have well exceeded state law requirements. The one thing I'll actually mention as well, in addition to the payment of all costs of issuance, if you recall, in November of last year, we were going through the rating process to get ready for this transaction before we lost the market. And as a matter of fact, we received the rating from S&P on November 10th. And if you go back and look, our market drastically turned, and we're talking 50 to 100 basis point turn per maturity beginning November 9th of last year. So we actually, unfortunately, the rating process was already in the works. We received the rating the day after the market began to turn against us, and it just got progressively worse until it came back. Well, you had to make the payment to Standard & Poor's for that rating of $11,000, and part of the bond proceeds here will reimburse you for that $11,000 payment that you've made to Standard & Poor's as well. That's included in the cost of issuance as well. It's money that you'll be able to put back into your general fund or whatever fund made that payment. So all in all, I'd consider it a success, but I certainly want to make sure that I address any questions that you have, and if they don't come up today, this will be a subject of a public hearing and ordinance adoption in 2 weeks. I can address them then for you as well.
Questions? Great. Can't thank you for all your hard work.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you soon. All right, Madam Clerk, item 6, ordinance.
Public hearing on ordinance number 1709, which notice was published on April 13th, April 20th, and April 27th, 2017.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Lewis. Do I have a second? Lewis, oh my God. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking about. Do I have a second? Councilmember Broussard. All right, do we have any public comment? Phew. No public comment? Great. Now I need a motion to close the public hearing. Let's try to get this one right. I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Councilmember Lewis. Councilmember Swear. So public hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk?
Ordinance number 1709, fixing the terms of sale of real estate belonging to the city of New Iberia to Christopher Turner for $49,000, which property is described as 6.7245 acres and .700 acres, being tracts 1 and 2 of plat by Brian R. Murray, land surveyor dated June 2nd, 1986, and authorizing the mayor to execute a cash sale and any additional documents that he deems appropriate to accomplish the foregoing.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Tisch. Do I have a second? Councilmember Lewis. Do we have any discussion?
This should be the last time, I'm correct?
Yes, this should be the last
This is like
time
2
and we'll
months.
get to sell this piece of property. Yes, yes. Yes.
For
Councilmember
the
Tisch.
for the properties that's actually being sold by the city, I just want to know what's the process in that after the money is collected and the property is sold, which fund or where in the budget is the money placed at? Is it in the general fund or?
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna put the money in the general fund. We do have some ideas of some projects and some things that, we might do, but the whole council's, main task is budgetary. So anything we do with it will come back to y'all and we'll decide that as a group. So it'll go into the general fund and that way I can't spend it, you can't, we have to do it together and there's a process, so it'll go to the general fund.
And so regardless, we're gonna vote on it anyway, so it doesn't matter really where.
Correct.
Okay.
It needs to go to the general fund so that it has some flexibility, but if we
Right.
want to do something with it later, you have to say so, we all do, to vote on it, to make sure that we do what you want to do.
Okay, so every property that's being sold, the money goes
Every
into the
property,
general
I have some
fund.
ideas and some future properties, and it's a lot more dollars, let's hope. All of that will go into the general fund, and we will all together decide what we're gonna do with it.
Thank you.
Sure. Any further questions? Hearing none, vote your machine. Motion carries.
Wait.
Wait.
Have him redo it.
Okay, please vote again. Thank you all, motion carries. Great. Resolutions, Madam Clerk.
Resolution accepted administrative change order number 3 for the 2015 street improvement project to adjust the unit price items for the estimated bid quantities to match the actual installed quantities to reflect the actual cost incurred to complete the project's scope of work.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Dahl. Do I have a second by Councilmember Broussard? Do we have any discussion on this item?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
You had the sheets given to us about the original contract showed it was $1.5 million, and then there's some change order, and we had a decrease in the change order of 206. The total contract came to 1.84 million.
Correct.
So on the funding of that, because it is more than the original contract, but we had some decreased dollars in here.
Right, I know the decreases are from the quantities because the engineers monitor the quantities and it's all unit price based. So they run the numbers as the project's complete.
Was this anything to do with the time of the, I know the time
There
of
is
the
some,
contract,
there is some
coming up
liquidated
next.
damages, but that's
That's
coming up
next.
next.
Okay.
That's the next item.
but it's still part of that? Okay.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
But that'll be our next item.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines.
Yeah, got one.
I need
Oh,
to-
I'm sorry.
Is this the same project with the overlay and the Main Street St. Peter? and then
No, Main
it's
Street
just-
Peter is a state project.
State
This one
project.
is all the streets that y'all undertook in the last administration, kind of the last road project that we had. I can't list all the streets, I know I
Gotcha,
can't.
gotcha.
It's all city streets
2015.
from 2015, actually.
2015.
Yes, yes.
I have a question.
Yes,
Did we address the ones in my district that need to be addressed by any chance? That were in this,
He has a
pond?
list.
we have a list in there that lists all the streets.
Right.
I mean, it's the end of the project, so we have addressed all the streets that this project is going to address because we're out of time, out of money, and done. But we can look at your list. I'm not positive.
Okay. I'm talking about Pine Street. Are you aware of Pine Street, my district, the situation that we're having? The flooding, it was higher.
Pine.
No, we went.
That's where we.
We went and looked at it.
Yeah, we looked at it. We added a.
I was
Yes,
wondering where that,
yes.
did they make any changes or did?
No, it made no changes for this contract. We
Okay.
took care of the issue,
Okay.
but not through this contract.
Okay, not through this contract.
I think, Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Allen was here. We did this in the prior administration, And what happened, we had a contract we accepted and did some streets that came in below that. So it was opportunity for the past council to add some more little streets. And some in your district was added when Mr. Begner was there. And that's why, this is just finishing that up. So this council really didn't have much to say except Mr. Lopez and myself with these streets and these dollars. If that's correct.
That is correct. Great. Any further discussion? I'll ask you to vote your machines. Great, motion carries. Item 7B.
Resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into and execute for and on behalf of the city of New Iberia, Louisiana, a cooperative endeavor agreement for law enforcement services between the Iberia Parish Law Enforcement District and the city of New Iberia.
This, as you know, is our one-year contract for law enforcement with the Sheriff's Department that we've had many previous discussions about. We do feel that it's a one-year contract. If we have any discussion about it, that's fine. What I'm asking to do is the authorization to sign the contract. It is for one more year. There is no renewal option in the contract. As we all know and have talked about this many times, we're going to an election in October for a half-cent tax, which is 50 cents on $100. But we're going for that tax for law enforcement in an effort to put back a police department. This contract would run from July of this year to July of next year. If the tax passes in October, we would start receiving funds in probably March or April. We are taking all the steps necessary that at the end of this one-year contract, we would be ready to form a police department if that's what the voters decide. As we all know, we can't tax anybody. The voters can only choose to tax themselves. But that's what's up tonight. And what I'm asking for is the authority to enter into the contract. We have all talked about the contract. We've had many discussions on different parts and pieces of the contract that we would have liked to have seen some things added or changed. Some things have happened, some things haven't. Before I would think there would be a little discussion before you give me the authorization, so I open up the floor for any discussion. Councilmember Giddey.
I know we've already exhausted this particular topic, but believe it or not, I was stopped several times in the store about this, bringing back the city police department. If I can impose on our city attorney, Mr. Jeff, if he could only just talk about just a few of the little differences that's different between the old contract and the new one. And I know we've already talked about it, I already know it, but for those that may be misinformed or uninformed, can you just go over those things very briefly for us one more time for the residents, please?
The contract is substantially like the contract for the previous year.
Right.
So it generally covers the same things at the same cost. There are some instances where we don't have the information that we got in the previous contract on a couple instances. We have some things that were outmoded in the previous contract referring to practices that they no longer do, but basically it's the same. One of the differences that I pointed out was the old contract said that we had 10 officers on patrol in the city. The new contract says we have 10 officers working for us in the city, but it doesn't say they're all on patrol.
It's on duty.
On duty.
That was something that the sheriff's and his attorney insisted on. I think we've had some difficulties in the past where even when we had a contract that said we had 10 on patrol, we didn't really have 10 on patrol. So I think in the contract is very similar to the one before. It is, in the big picture, a contract that leaves our law enforcement up to the sheriff. And he is going to do what he thinks is appropriate, and he has a lot of control over what is done and how it's done. And that has not changed really for years. But it's really a continuation in the best way that we could put it together of what we've done in the past. And it's for 1 year, it's same cost, but there's no deal for the year that begins July 1st, 2018. So it's a 1-year deal.
Thank you.
And we need a contract.
We do.
We need a contract. because we don't have a department at this time.
Any further discussion on this item? Yes, Councilmember Swear.
So, we can all agree that the sheriff is pretty much the most powerful political position, I feel, and that's on us right now. We also can agree that we have no choice. We have to provide the people with public protection. So we have to, in my eyes, we have to go through this contract for the year. What's gonna happen after that year? So we're gonna collect, if the tax does pass, so you say we're gonna start collecting in March?
Yes, around March.
March, okay, so then would that give us, then after that, what time frame do we have to actually start a PD? When will a PD start operating?
In July.
In July?
In July. If we know the tax passes, we're already putting things in motion. I'm already starting working on the policy manual. I met with someone for 2 hours today and really got a good jump start on that. We'll be putting some stuff together so that I can get it to Jeff. But I mean, we're going to take steps. I have to take steps to be prepared for whatever happens. So we are planning and doing every step I can. If the tax passes in October, then we know we have a reoccurring funding source. We know that we can, it's a small bond, but we know that we could institute the steps and procedures that it would take to float a bond for those upfront costs. As soon as we know that we have money coming in, that might even let us, if that's the road we get to go down, to bring in a chief, to bring in a couple of people to start the process. Will it be easy? No. Will there be open lines of communication the whole way through at the Sheriff's Department? Yeah, I can guarantee you there will be. It has to. We don't have a choice. We have sat down and talked on many occasions in our negotiations that regardless of what happens, we need to cooperate. We need to work with each other as best we can. There'll be many decisions, come October, if it passes, there'll be many decisions to be made, but I don't want to wait till October. So we are working on it, planning diligently, and you have to plan for success. You don't go into this. I mean, if it doesn't work, I'll be the first one to pick up the pieces and keep moving. I mean, we have a city to run, but you have to plan for success, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'll be bringing a lot of stuff to y'all. It doesn't pay to bring it now. I think it pays to continue to, compile, and then as we get closer, I would want to bring to y'all and show you, here's the legwork, here's what we're doing, and then once October comes, we're gonna have a lot of quick homework to do, but I think it's totally doable. Any further discussion? Yes, Mr. Russo.
If that's a fresh start, I want to thank the sheriff, whoever was responsible for putting our blinking light for showing the speed on Broward.
Okay.
I called one day and the next day it was up.
Yep.
So if that's a new start, I see a little positive.
All right. Further discussion?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I like to see that blinking light in
Councilmember Lewis?
District 2.
Okay, well, we'll make the request for the blinking light in District 2. You have a place you want to put it?
Every
Give me-
street.
Okay, well, we only have
I'll
one
call
of them,
it. I'll call
but you
it.
think about where you want it, please call it in, and we will call it in and see about trying to make that happen. Good. Further discussion? Great, well, I'll ask you to please vote your machines.
We don't have a motion.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, we don't even have a motion. We need a motion, thank you. Motion by Councilmember Swear, do I have a second? Mayor Pro Tem Thaw? Now, please vote your machines. Motion carries. Thank you. Madam Clerk, 7C.
Resolution endorsing and supporting a grant application to the FRTPL FHWA Recreation Trails Program by the TESH Project Group for wayfinding and informational signage relative to the proposed New Iberia canoe/kayak dock.
This is a grant for our new kayak dock to do a kiosk down at the grant that kind of tells the story of Bayou Teche and a little kind of history of what we're trying to do, as well as information about the kayak dock and the other docks and how they're linked together. This is something that Jane is working on, and we need a resolution of support. Jane, do you have anything you want to add to it? You good?
Just the canoe and kayak grant is underway, and we plan to have that turned into the state shortly. And so it's going to include wayfinding signage and a dock, you know, for canoes and
I remember that a couple of years ago, a group came here and we identified some places where the dock would be. Is those places the same, or could you mention where the dock's gonna be? Because at one time we talked about having a dock by the Perry Street Bridge below there, back on that lot.
Yeah, that's exactly where it's gonna be, on
Okay.
the city's lot. Just as you cross Superior Street, down to the right. And I have a,
There was anything talked about one time about doing something at City Park where it would be easier for them to get in and out of the kayaks, or that was never addressed?
no, well, we did the Wallet Bro grant, which was the, you know, to add the fishing piers and improvements to the loading dock, and also the addition of a new restroom facility there. And so the canoe and kayaks dock wasn't part of that application. This is a separate one.
And to get to that dock, it's still gonna be through the Perry Street by the bridge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're actually gonna have, you know where the dead end, it dead ends
Yeah.
on Superior Street?
Uh-huh.
We're going to include a parking lot right there. And there'll also be a pathway from the bridge, from Bridge Street, if you're crossing the bridge, down to that loading dock, the canoe and kayak. And then the bicycle trail from Church Alley will go right by there too. So we're gonna have wayfinding signage and historical signage, and that's what this support is about.
Good, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
And I guess, I don't know,
Councilman
this
Blue.
might be for Heather and Ms. Bro. I see park, and that's nice, I love the city park and the bayou and all that. Is there any efforts in getting grants and stuff for, you know, revitalizing or improving the Western Park and trying to, you know,
Certainly,
tap into
we're
some
going
of,
after
some
you.
of the culture that's actually, you know, there is culture's kind of hidden, but there's culture.
I agree.
You know, and so, you know.
We are making every effort to apply for this administration. In our 4 months has already applied for quite a few grants. And anything we see that comes up that I can get money in this community to celebrate our diversity and to do anything we can to promote our history and our culture, you bet I'm gonna do it. So
Yes,
I haven't found
because I
one.
think this one has been applied for, y'all been talking about this since the last administration, correct?
This has been
That's,
going on for a long
that's
time.
why.
But anything I see
No, I
new,
understand.
Yeah.
I'm actually starting to talk to people about doing some grant writing for the fees. You know, we can't afford to have a grant writer on staff. Some grants come with an administration fee, which we could give up and say, okay, that's your fee for the grant. I'm scheduling some meetings now with 3 or 4 people who have written grants in the past. A couple of them I'm trying to pull out of retirement. But for those kind of cultural grants and things that we could do, you know, Richard Minville does a wonderful job for us, but it's all infrastructure. What I'm really looking for is some grant writers that exactly could do more recreation, more cultural projects, more things that, you know, celebrate our history, more things for our parks and in kind of some new programming. So I'm on that and welcome any help I can get because I think that's important.
Well, because one of the things I would like to see us connect that park to that library right across the track, some type of way or another. Just a thought. We'll be visiting that later on.
Okay, great. Further comments? No further comments. We need to get a motion. Can I have a motion so we can vote on
Motion.
this? Motion by Councilmember Guidry. Can't have a second. Councilmember Lewis. Look at that. Great. So if you don't mind, please vote your machines.
Wait, let me clear, okay.
And the motion carries. Thank you all very much. Madam Clerk, item number 8.
Notice of public meetings. A, notice is hereby given that the mayor and city council of the city of New Iberia, state of Louisiana, plan to renew and levy an ad valorem tax at its meeting on Tuesday, June 6, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. at the City Hall Council Chambers, 457 East Main Street, Suite 300, New Iberia, Louisiana.
Do you have a motion?
No, we don't.
Oh, we
It's
don't
just
have
a
to vote on
notice.
this? Jeff, we don't vote on notice of a public meeting? Okay, great. Well, this is a public meeting that we'll be having. This is the beginning of talking about the ad valorem taxes that'll come up in how many days? Madam Clerk, you told me 60 days?
We have to do the
Two-
notice 60 days prior.
60 days prior. So we're trying to follow the law. follow the rules, so this notice has to come at 60 days prior. So you'll be revisiting this soon. Any
So-
discussion?
So this is not a millage renewal or anything, this is just the millage just rolling from the past administration?
Well, we'll make that decision. In other words, this is the beginning of a public meeting that'll be coming, so we can get
To see
public
if we
comment.
need to,
And
okay.
then we, as a council, will
Okay.
make that decision.
Okay.
We can leave them the same as they are, we could adjust them. I think they're at their max, so the only way we could go is down if we chose to do that. But that's, what we'll be discussing in a future meeting. Further discussion? Great, thank you. And we already did item 8B, so now
hearing
we
for
go
16.
to item number 9, items for discussion, and we have none. So we go to item number 10, councilman remarks. I'll start on this side tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have to make an announcement. We have a neighborhood watch meeting at North Lewis Elementary, Monday, I believe it's May 8th at 6 p.m. Crime Stop is now in Iberia Parish.
Right, correct.
So he'll be at that meeting. All is welcome to attend, being that he will be there addressing, and stating how Crime Stoppers works and the resources and stuff like that. So I encourage anybody to attend. Again, it's May 8th, a Monday at 6 p.m. So that's it for tonight.
Great. Councilmember Gitt?
I just have a couple announcements. I just wanted to let everyone that know that my next stop on tour will be at Sugar Lane Elementary on May 12th. I'm going to be talking to the youth at 1 p.m. and my mission is to continue to motivate the youth and to get them involved in their neighborhoods, their community, and inform them about their new city officials and remind them about their God-given talents and how to put those talents to use within their prospective neighborhoods. Also, I want to thank the Board of Directors. I'm so excited about our brand new Crime Stoppers that Dustin Swear just got through finished mentioning. And again, for the constituents that do not know, if you want to report a crime, you can call 364-TIPS. There's a fundraiser that's going to be held for Dr. Maddie James. She's the founder of Hope Ministries. It will take place on Saturday, May 6th, 10:30 to 2:30. You can go to Anointed Soul Food at 1201 Daspit Road, New Iberia. And if you need more information about this fundraiser to help Dr. Maddie to get her ministry started, it's 256-2562. And I want to say that I've been receiving a lot of calls concerning Ann Street, which is in the downtown area. And it is my hope that some residents elect to take pride concerning their homes and their properties, mainly in the Ann Street area and the nearby streets. I think we're all being challenged right now in this season to change and to reform. So I'm asking the residents that live on these streets in this area and in this particular community to help clean up their prospective area. Also, there's trash, there's old sofas, mattresses, and other disposable items. It's becoming distracting. Therefore, if you need assistance, please call City Hall for a pickup, or you can call myself and I can assist you on to call City Hall. Also, the residents, for residents that are challenged with dilapidated properties, they're calling me about it, which been there for decades now. But I'm just asking that you remain patient and remember the latest information that was published concerning a mandatory public hearing in reference to these particular properties. It is all of our social responsibility to make sure that we help keep our neighborhoods clean and improve the quality of life for our families and friends and neighbors. So I'm committed to our success for my constituents and insisting if I can be of any help. The National Day of Prayer will be held at Mount Calvary Baptist Church Thursday, May 4th at 5:30, and I will be there praying for the city of New Iberia, family, love, and praying against crime and violence and abuse. And lastly, I just want to thank our mayor and our city attorney for attending the citywide tent revival. it just shows that our mayor has a heart for the residents of this city. And I'm just excited to see an actual mayor attend a tent revival. It was something to see. And he doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to be asking for more of a commitment to him for the future of our youth for this city. But again, I just want to thank our mayor and our city attorney for attending. Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes we get information that the public don't get, and one of them is our sales tax. And in March, our sales tax was down 6.5%, and this month it's up 1.76. I mean April really. And I want to applaud the city because that means more people are shopping local, and these little numbers is a big number at the end of the day for the city. So I want to applaud the citizens of New Iberia and continue the effort. Thank you.
Councilman Broussard.
See, Mr. James Landry in here. We gotta talk about these campers, old campers that we gotta add to the list of our old cars and all that. 8, 9 years ago, I called in on a camper and they said they couldn't touch it. So that gets into these antique cars. Now we have to look at these campers that are stuck there, and they have a couple of them. And Miss Sherry called me on one of them that's close to my district. It's been a thorn in the side for years. And I also want to encourage all the council members to work with their parish council partners. I'm working really good with Warren Gosherson. We cleaned the ditch in back of Briarwood and back of the houses of Briarwood, right on the edge of the city line in Parish. We cleaned it. They had the mowing machine come and clean all the ditch too. So please, I'm asking residents to keep out any kind of trash, any tree falls in it, let us know ahead of time. We want to work with the government, with parish and city together.
Thank you. Councilman Lewis.
Thank you. I'm gonna do a little something different. You know, with all the tragic events that has happened in our community, I want to focus on some of the positive things that are happening. 2 young men from our community, Denarius Antoine and Josh Booty, both of them got picked up in free agency in the NFL. And the reason why I'm saying that, hopefully there can be some more money added to our community. And they can come back and help our community out, and help build young men up like they were built up.
Great, that's awesome. Thank you. Councilman Lopez.
I just have that on tap is having movies in the park. It's Friday night, Cinco de Mayo at the Steamboat Pavilion. Zumba starts at 7:30, and then at sunset they're gonna have Zootopia. There's gonna be a food truck there. And Acadian Acres and surrounding areas neighborhood watch is next Thursday, May 11th at 5:30 at Daspit Elementary.
Thank you. All right, next I'll get a couple of announcements. Just our next council meeting is May 16th, 2017. We're still trying to sell 73 adjudicated properties online, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Dahl, and who made the second?
Second.
Okay.